Morning folks, welcome aboard. Morning Neil, you'd have been better putting that in the comments, mate. Only I can read this. Only I can read the personal messages. Anyway, Neil says good morning everyone. Morning James, morning John. Nice to see you there, John. Morning James, Jim, Lynn, Maggie, Rosemary, Harry, Lillian, Diane, Joe, Lenny, Kirsty, nearly there, Stuart, Charlotte, Adele. Okay, that's us up over the 100 mark, folks. So let's get this broadcast underway. Indytruck Davy out the truck and at home in his office in Salisbury, North Lanarkshire, where it is overcast, set to clear up, and 15 degrees. That's the weather forecast for Salisbury, North Lanarkshire. If you want to know what the weather's like where you are, look at your own bloody windy. Alright, I'd like to thank Nancy McGuire for this lovely t-shirt that I'm wearing today, my Super Scott t-shirt. I will try my best, Nancy, to live up to the label on the shirt. Okay, so let's get this broadcast underway. Okay, this is the news review for the 21st of the 6th, 2022. Tuesday started like Monday with only one main theme in the rags: train strike. People are thinking this is a train driver's dispute. It's not. It's right across the board. Ticket offices closed, engineers down tooled, guards are down tooled. In fact, all associated industries or all associated trades within the rail industry have down tools. Okay, it's also rumoured that the criminal cabal have been interfering in wage negotiations with rail workers. It's been said that the Cabinet Office has instructed Network Rail and those who run the rail franchises to offer no more than 3%, as that will be the maximum offer the cabal will offer public sector workers across Westminster departments. So there you have it, the criminal cabal have been interfering in the rail dispute, and as we know, they intend to change the law so that companies who have striking workforces can hire in agency workers. I don't know how that'll work with trains. I've not been on a train at 125 mile an hour if the bloody driver's not been trained properly, you know what I mean? Anyway, moving on, Tuesday, and inflation hits 9.1% for the year till May 2022. The Bank of England expects inflation to rise to 11% by the end of the year. Prices continue to rise at the fastest rate for 40 years. Okay. Now, we have been told that inflationary pressures are being caused by the war in Ukraine, but Brexit and rampant profiteering by big energy companies are also major factors. Now, the UK government could do something about the rampant profiteering, but won't, as it's them and their wealthy donors who are profiting from the situation. Alright, now what does this all mean to hard-working, hard-pushed, ordinary people like you and me? Food price inflation is at 15% and rising, adding an additional £380 to £500 to the average household annual bill. Soaring energy costs will see gas and electricity bills rise by 123% by October 2022, adding between £1,000 and £1,500 to the cost of heating and lighting your home. Okay, the cost of filling the family car has reached £110 a week, adding about £1,300 a year to the cost of running your family car as well. So since the UK left the EU properly in January 2021, it is now £2,680 minimum more to just live in the UK. That's at a Brexit effect we were talking about back in 2016, which was kicked down the line, and then down the line, and finally hit in January 2021. And of course, as we know, the Ukraine war didn't start until February 2022, so the incremental introduction of the Brexit malarkey has actually seen the cost of living surge. As I say, now it costs on average £2,680 more just to live here. There's no way that we're going to get wage rises that are going to cover that, so it's a big smack in the bahookie for us all from the criminal cabal down that road. Right, moving on. Tuesday, back here in Scotland, Health Minister Humza Yousaf announces the bill to create the National Care Service Scotland. It's to be brought to the floor of the Holyrood Chamber shortly, and the bill will end the postcode lottery on social care, and we'll see ministers made accountable for social care. Alright, now the cost of running the new National Care Service Scotland will be about 1.5 billion per annum, and already the cuckoos in the nest are saying it's too expensive and can't be done. Well, Davy says, aye it can, especially when we're independent, because all tax revenues raised in Scotland will stay in Scotland, including those from North Sea oil and gas, and that 1.5 billion will just be a drop in the bloody ocean. Alright, because the Scottish economy, although shrinking because of Brexit, is still worth about 179 billion in taxation, so there you have it, and we get 41.7 billion back to run the nation. So, you know, there's 126 billion out there in taxation which will go into the Scottish Government coffers, and that will really see these things become affordable, including things like doubling the state pension and running the National Care Service Scotland. Right, moving on, Tuesday, and just to add to the economic nightmare that is the cost of living crisis, more and more public sector workers are being balloted on strike action. Teachers and medical professionals are looking at industrial action. But the one which will cause the most damage to the economy is the previously public-owned Royal Mail. The Royal Mail is highly unionised, and its workers are being balloted now for strikes later in the summer. Now, I don't know how much people know about what the Royal Mail do, but they move vast amounts of goods around the UK, Europe and the rest of the world on behalf of businesses and consumers in the UK, and the Royal Mail going on strike will see chaos right across the economy. That could be the one that brings this government to its knees. Okay, moving on, Tuesday, and it's revealed that the criminal cabal down that road to scrap the cap on city pay. Bankers' bonuses are averaging out at 10.1% at the moment. 10.1% of their salaries at the moment. They'll have salary rises which are uncapped now. Now, the recent interest rate hikes gave the banks a whopping 2.2 billion of our money for free. They didn't have to do nothing. Now, I guess the profiteering by the banks, facilitated by the Bank of England, has just been accommodated by the criminal cabal. Why? Well, let's face it, they should all have banker sponsors on their jackets so we know which bank bloody well owns them. But the criminal cabal down there are going to lift the cap on banker bonuses. The Bank of England have just handed the banks an extra 2.2 billion of our money through interest rate rises. So, you know, like the Treasury, the banking business is bulging. Right, moving on, Tuesday, and it's announced that a brain-dead Deputy Prime Minister will introduce the British Bill of Rights to the House of Thieves and Carpetbaggers today. So what's in it? It will make it harder to bring judicial reviews against the government. It will remove the right to a family life for convicted criminals. This means it makes it easier to deport foreign nationals who break the law. But it's not specific and it's not targeted, so this could actually affect ordinary citizens, not just criminals that they want to deport. Alright, it allows the criminal cabal to ignore rulings of the European Court on Human Rights, although the bill stops short of the UK ditching the ECHR altogether. Right, the bill will make it harder for disabled people and survivors of violence against women and children to get access to justice, and according to the Director of Liberty, the bill will ransack our rights, and it's a clear power grab by the government, who has no respect for its citizens' rights. Okay, now the head of the Law Society of England and Wales, Stephanie Boyce, said it undermined the checks and balances that underpins the rule of law. Now that's bloody serious. Now the bill will create a set of conditions where authorities will see certain human rights abuses as normal and acceptable, introducing a society where the authorities, meaning the government, local authorities, even devolved parliaments, although the Scottish Parliament's not taking this on, would see impinging on certain human rights as just normal. You know, So if you're disabled and you're in a care home, who cares about your rights if the government's not doing right by you? If you're elderly in a care home, we've just had the care home report section for the COVID inquiry out, and that said that the care homes breach the human rights of the residents by cutting them off for their family life. All that sort of stuff would just become normal. Okay, now, where are we? The bill will give the government greater unfettered powers over people's lives, says James Wilson, Deputy Director of Action UK. Now, he added that Dominic Raab's intention to undermine the rights of family life affects us all. Undermining the right to family life will make it easier for the state to remove your kids from you, right? We all know what happened the last time the Tories were in power and these human rights weren't there to protect us. They only came in 1998. As you all know, people at Savile were given keys to children's homes and prisons and mental facilities so they could go in and abuse people. So, these things have all got to be in your mind when you think about this bill going through the Parliament, right? Now, I'll be delving right into this bill when it comes out today. My usual sources will send me a PDF file of the draft bill and I'll get in about it, folks. And anything I see in there that really scares the crap out of me, like scrapping the rights to family life, and making it harder to bring judicial review, undermining the rule of law, as has been pointed out by Stephanie Boyce of the Law Society England and Wales. It's quite scary stuff, people, and it's to be taken serious. So as I say, my usual sources will probably have the PDF file of the draft bill in my inbox later today, and I'm off for the next couple of days, folks, so I will be scrutinising this bill, or draft bill, quite closely, alright. But Tuesday showed the contrast in the approach of the UK and Scottish governments to their citizens' rights. In Scotland, a bill introduced to enshrine the rights to care and law is going forward, and in the House of Thieves and Carpetbaggers, a bill to be introduced stripping you of your human rights. It just shows you how the different governments think about the care and commitment they have to their citizens. Like in Scotland, it's still the Scottish government's legal responsibility to provide healthcare. That's not the case down that road. We are about to introduce a bill to make it the government's legal responsibility to care for us in our old age and to care for us when we're sick and infirm. None of that crap down that road in the House of Thieves and Carpetbaggers, guys. So independence is becoming an imperative because we need a caring, compassionate government like we have in Holyrood, as opposed to one that's law-breaking and doesn't give a shite about your human rights down there in the House of Thieves and Carpetbaggers. Right, moving on. Tuesday, it's announced that First Minister Nicola Sturgeon will tell the nation next week, before the summer recess, Scotland's route to Indytruck 2 without a Section 30 order. But there's a Davy says here. I'll tell you in advance what it's going to say. It's going to say, get it up, ye Westminster. Scotland's a nation, and the Referendum Act Scotland passed in January 2021. So referenda are perfectly legal in Scotland, so you can kiss our bahookies. We're going to do it anyway. Now that will bring Westminster to the table, believe me. The minute she stands up there and says we're going to do it anyway, they'll be up that bloody road like a shot. Why? Because the Unionists desperately, like Murdo Fraser pointed out, need to hold on to Scotland's resources. So they'll want their say. If they don't come up that road, then if they try and interfere in the referendum, they'll be breaching international law. Not as if they give a shite down that road. Breaching the law is the norm. And introducing the bill to allow them to break the law is quite the norm down that road. Well, NI protocols, the new Bill of Rights. We could go on, unbloody believable. Right, so next week the First Minister will tell us what the script is, alright? Right, moving on. Tuesday, and Police Scotland officially turned down the £565 annual pay offer made by the Scottish Government. So more trouble in the public sector. The police can't strike legally, but they can work to rule. So no policing of public events like the return of the World Piping Championship to Glasgow, or marches and rallies, concerts, that sort of thing. Now, the police do control public protests and things like that, as I say, so that sort of thing will not be getting covered by police as they'll work the rule. I'll also see football games impinged upon and all, alright? So there'll be trouble ahead in policing in Scotland as well, right? Moving on, Tuesday, and the Sheikh of Bayou inquiry goes on. Giving evidence to the inquiry was a retired police officer, Mr. Alan Payton. Now, he was the first officer on the scene. Mr. Payton tells the inquiry he thought about terrorism as he got the call to attend a man with on the streets carrying a knife. Now, Mr. Payton said he worried that Mr. Bayou may stab someone as he approached Mr. Bayou. Now, Mr. Payton tells the inquiry race didn't feature in his approach. Davy says, aye, right, maybe not consciously, but subconsciously it will definitely have been there because of the way that the press and the government and the UK demonises coloured folk and Muslims, and institutional racism is rife in public services throughout the UK. It's been there for as long as Davy's been alive. Alright, so the guy might not have consciously be thinking a race identity Davy, but subconsciously, because of the way institutions are set up within the UK and the way that coloured people and people of other religions are demonised in the press here in the UK, then I'm sure race did play a part in this. And a big example of the sort of subconscious stuff that goes on and the overt stuff that's been going on recently because of Brexit is Brexit itself. That was a racist bloody thing in its own. Take back control of our borders, eh? Anyway, so the inquiry continues, and I think when this inquiry is over, there will be a ruling that says that race definitely played a part here. But it has to recognise that race played a part here. Otherwise, we can't address this within our public services and within our public life. And it's another reason for independence, because we have to get the press back and get them rattled in this bloody place. Get them back to journalism instead of bloody nothing more than storytellers and people who make pish up. Right, also Tuesday, it's reported that the rail strike hit hospitality hard here in Scotland. One hotel owner in Rannoch says this week's strikes has seen 75% of his bookings cancelled. Well, you know, if you can't get back for it, you can't go for your day trips. So it is going to hit hospitality hard. Alright, so there'll be another 2 of these strikes this week, and it's going to be ongoing. But we'll get a wee bit of that when we get the paper review. Okay, also in the news Tuesday, bird flu reaches St Kilda, and it will see the archipelago's colony of great skuas pushed to the brink of extinction. The St Kilda archipelago is a key breeding ground for the rare bird, and 120 of them have died of the disease so far this breeding season. Alright, National Trust for Scotland Ranger for the archipelago, Craig Nesbitt, fears a continued presence of bird flu could drive the great squirrel to the brink of existence. Now that's one for the ornithologists out there. I had to look up what the bird looked like and things like that myself. But losing any form of biodiversity is an absolute disaster at this point in time, because human beings are doing it themselves, never mind disease kicking in on top of it. Alright, so let's move on. And Tuesday, the criminal cabal announces that the triple walk on pensions to return in September 2022, seeing pensioners get a double figure rise in pensions. Why didn't the criminal cabal kick the triple walk into the long grass, considering where inflation is? Well, election coming, and what they call the silver vote, it carries a hell of a lot of weight, folks, the silver vote. So, pleasing the pensioners down that road, which is the core of the Tory voter base, is absolutely imperative. It also means that we have to make sure that we make it clear to our pensioners, even though that they're getting a wee minimum rise of maybe 10 or 15 quid after that mob down the House of Thieves and Carpetbaggers, we have to make it clear that on independence we intend to double the state pension. Okie dokie. Right, so now will other benefits see the same sort of rises as pensioners get in the triple walk? Let's face it, anybody on any benefit is facing the same sort of problems with the cost of living crisis as the pensioners are facing. Well, Davy says he doubts it. The disabled will be whacked the way they've been getting whacked for the last 11 years, and they're getting whacked again in this new Bill of Rights. The unemployed, well, they're just seen as loafers and loungers by this shower of shite, so no, they'll not get the sort of rise that's required to cover the cost of living crisis either. Alright. Right, moving on to the Ukraine. Right, let's have a look what we go up. Putin. Apparently, Putin is as Jacob's on a shoot with peg. Apparently, Putin's a wee bit, he's starting to go senile, or he's ill health with cancer. That's the two rumours. But it's speculated that he'll lose the 2024 presidential election in Russia. One of the biggest factors will be the lies about the Ukraine war in Russia, because there's 20,000 families in Russia right now who have lost members of their family in this war, because Putin's lost 20,000 troops. Now, if this is a protracted war, as we're expecting, then the news blackout in Russia won't matter, because the dead bodies will be stacking up. And although there's 180 million of them, it will still have a great effect on the population. Alright, also, Lithuania imposes EU sanctions on Russian goods travelling to Kaliningrad, an southeastern region of Russia, where the Baltic Naval Fleet is housed, if you like. So the cutting off of key goods into the Kaliningrad region of Russia will see the Baltic Fleet crippled. That will bloody well help. Alright. Also, Russian Nobel Prize winner, he sells off his Nobel Prize medal for $103.5 million, and he says he's given all that money to help Ukrainian refugees. Alright. And but a tub something going on with the new head of the army here in the UK. Sir Patrick Saunders, the new General Sir Patrick Saunders, the new Chief of the Army, he says we have to get ready to take Putin on physically, on the ground. And he warns NATO and NATO allies to get their troops ready for a fight with Russia. Now, this sort of stuff is bloody dangerous, because also in the news, the new supersonic nuclear weapon, which has been developed by Russia, is to be mobilised. Now, as you know, Putin's been threatening the UK. Apparently, one of these, what they're calling the Sazmat 2 missile, or the Satan 2 missile, apparently one of them's enough to take the UK off the map. And as Davy's already said, when it comes to strategic targets, the UK would be the obvious first strike. And no, it wouldn't lead to retaliation by NATO. What would happen is, be a lot of tears, UK would be gone, but they'd all get round the bloody table and settle down and say, let's dump nuclear weapons and never let something like this happen again. Okie dokie. So, but as it is, Putin's advance in the Ukraine still goes on. He's still in the Donbass region making a push. His progress is slow, but it is progress. And if he really wants to take out the Donbass, then he could probably nuke it and just neutralise it for good. But he won't do that. He needs access. He needs the Donbass because it gives him a land bridge to the Crimea. Okie dokie. So that's what I've got for you for yesterday's news review, folks. I hope you found it interesting. I hope you found it informative. And I hope you found the delivery entertaining. Let's move on to the rags and see what they've got to say this morning. This ought to be funny. So let's have a look what the rags have to say, folks. The Times goes on. Human rights overhaul set to limit power of European judges. And the main headline, Johnson ready for strike stalemate to last for months. Okay, the Scotsman has ScotRail forced to cancel 100 more services. You've got to remember, ScotRail had settled its train drivers recently, and now they've had to scrap all these services because of the UK-wide network rail dispute. Okie dokie, the Daily Express, the right-wing only rag, has got a nation grinds to a halt. Scots Tories issued demand to rail strike unions. Give up your power play and end this crisis. Scots Tories, there's not enough of them to put pressure on anybody. Never mind the massive RMT union spanners. But it is the right-wing loony rag, isn't it? The other right-wing loony rag, the Daily Fail has, Labour isn't working. As millions of ordinary workers suffer in rail strike mayhem, left-wing MPs and Scottish Party leader show their true colours by joining the picket line. No, they don't. It's a photo op. Labour are a centrist party. They don't give a shite about strikes. unless they're orchestrating them to disrupt its public services, as we see here in Scotland. As to Sarwar being on a picket line, that is rank hypocrisy like you've never seen before. This is a guy who pays poverty pay to his own workers, won't allow them to unionise, and he's standing on a bloody picket line. Wow! Talk about hypocrisy. Here's a wee rant for you folks. The Daily Record has Tories blasted over rail strike lies out of line. Union boss hit back over bid to blame negotiation failures on RMT. As we already know, Davy said earlier in this report that it would appear the criminal cabal in Westminster has been instructing Network Rail and the franchise providers not to offer any more than 3% because that's the maximum they're going to offer public servants. Okie dokie. Right, the eye has UK's new strike-breaking laws won't fix crisis. That means to draft in this bill they're going to draft in order to allow companies to hire agency workers to replace striking workers. Well, as I tell you, this isn't really for the public sector at all. This is mere playing about in the labour markets, and this will allow and legalise hire and refire, as I stated yesterday. Right, the Daily Telegraph has double-digit rise for state pension and benefits, so apparently the benefits are going to get it and all, and Bill of Rights to give UK power to overrule European judges. Now, as I say, this Bill of Rights stops short, about 2 inches short, of quitting the ECHR, and landing them right in trouble with the Council of Europe. Alright, and the Metro has ghost train Britain and gold age pensions. Gold age pensions? Wow, they're going to give, what, 10, 15, 20 quid? 11 quid, actually. So they're going to get 11 quid in September. That's bank-breaking stuff, eh? When your electricity bills went up with 1,000 quid a year. When it's 500 quid more to buy your messages. And when you can't put petrol in a bloody car. Woofed. Mental. Golden age pensions, my arse. The Herald has ministers warned over 1.3 million cost of National Care Service. There you go. They've only just announced they're going to do it, and the cuckoos in the nest are going after Trump saying it's unaffordable. Tories claim the ambitious plan will lead to cuts in frontline staff to fund admin. What a lot of bollocks. The National has exclusive BBC says editor's tweet on Indytruck 2 didn't break rules. Aye, it bloody did. He put out the Alex Massey story trying to say that it was illegal for Scotland to hold a bloody referendum without Westminster's say. He then had to put Aidan O'Neill's counter thing out, counter argument out 4 hours later because he realised he was biased and had broken the bloody BBC's charter. Anyway, the main headline, FM to reveal route to Indytruck 2 without UK backing. Date set for big announcement next week. Nicola Sturgeon will set out the Scottish Government's route map to a second independence referendum next week, reports the National. The paper says she will make a ministerial statement to Holyrood on the plans on Tuesday, 28th of June at 14:20 hours. Stick it in your diary, folks, with the question and answer slot from MSPs. Okay, let's see what the stars go for us today, folks, because we're bang on schedule to get this done in 30 minutes. Where is the star? The Daily Star of Scotland has rail chaos will cost 50 million as huge strikes make Scots travel right pudding. And they're right, 50 million per day will be the hit to the Scottish economy. Right, and the main headline is deserted, jammed. And we'll talk about jammed, I mean the road networks, because everybody named they could get a bloody train. Alright, so that's what the Star has for us today. So each day of strikes is a 50 million hit on the Scottish economy. That's the railway, of course. And as this strike's attributed to the UK government and the UK criminal cabal, surely the Scottish government should be sending a bill to the Exchequer. Right, that's a paper review for you today, folks. Interesting stuff. Economy meltdown for various reasons and industrial action compounding the problem. The government's almost on its knees. And what's the criminal cabal doing? It's running about, pissing about with Operation Save Big Dog Bojo the Clown. The cost of living crisis is seeing people bloody starve. The new Bill of Rights will see disabled people and women disadvantaged. And of course, your right to a family life booted into long grass. The judicial reviews are out the bloody windy, unless you bring them in Scotland. I imagine the Scottish legal system's about to get feckin' busy. So all in all, a bloody nightmare. On the upside, the First Minister's going to tell us how she's going to tell Westminster to stick it. So, it's only Tuesday so far, and it's comedy gold as usual. Wow! Right, on to the usual stuff. Okay, now this head referendum's going ahead, there's no doubt about it. Alright, so partisan politics in your pockets, eyes on the prize. Learn your how you gonnies and get out there and win hearts and minds. Okay, Bannockburn this weekend, folks. Make sure you turn up in big numbers. And of course, tomorrow afternoon you'll get the Indytruck, you'll get the two Davy show. We'll put the YouTube link out onto Facebook for you guys to come and join us live. This week we're talking about how we're going to go forward campaigning in this independence referendum. Okay, you might find this interesting because we're going to give you some good stuff to talk about. All right. Now, where were we? Support the independent media, support Broadcasting Scotland, support Independent Live, support Caledon Media, support independent vloggers and bloggers, support the national newspaper, you know the stuff. And if they have a crowdfunder going and you've got a couple of shekels to spare, which is highly unlikely in this cost of living crisis, please do throw them in the pot. These people do good work. And a wee message for Broadcasting Scotland, that generator should be back with me shortly, folks, and I'll contact you and get into Broadcasting Scotland with that generator for your outside broadcasting unit. And we look forward to seeing you. I'll be bringing my partner in crime with me, David Milligan, so we look forward to seeing you set up there at Broadcasting Scotland. I'll be in touch shortly. Okay, right. And of course, health messaging. There's only 2 bits of guidance left, but COVID just hit to the 200,000 person mark here in the UK, and at the moment, although we're still waiting on an update to the National Records of Scotland, 1 in 30 people in Scotland have COVID. COVID is on the rise. There was 11,226 new cases last week, and as I say, 1 in 30 people in Scotland are carrying it. So remember, be careful, especially if you've got underlying health conditions. So follow the last 2 pieces of guidance. Face coverings in enclosed public spaces, and clean hands and surfaces regularly. Now listen, if you've got a wee flu or you're feeling a bit under weather, you don't know whether it's COVID or no, testing isn't rife out there anymore. Mask up, consider social distancing. Okay, when it comes to social distancing, use your napper. And if you're still testing, folks, please submit your test results to NHS Scotland so that we can keep an eye on how much there is in the community. Alright, so that's what I've got for you today, folks. That's the review of Tuesday's news. We'll be back tomorrow to review Wednesday's news. Oh, it'll be interesting. I think the Plank Dominic Raab's taking Prime Minister's questions this week because apparently Bojo's recovering from a minor sinus operation. What he actually is doing is hiding in a feckin' fridge and letting everybody else take the crap for him. Okay, right, we'll catch you all tomorrow to do it all again. Look after yourself, folks. Bye for now.